Okay, good evening, Diane and Norlin. Today we will talk about basically in a QR history about the transaction using the financial technology. But before we start with these informations, we need to compare about the fintech condition in your country. Last weeks we talk about the fintech in Indonesia, but now I will highlight with your some of the movement of your financial technology, especially in the Philippines in 2022. Okay, if you see about these informations, we will find about the cryptocurrency transactions. I show that for the Bank Central in Philippines, the information about the cryptocurrency is growing in 2019, and it becomes the great movement in 2020. This is the cryptocurrency transaction in January to September. In valuations in the billion and in the millions, their growing is 410% and also 36%. Well, and we see with the key players in your fintech environments in the Philippines, we have some information about the digital banking license by the banking central in Philippines, like the Filipino Bank, the Tonic, and Kotime and Union Bank. This is the digital banking license, and also with the digital centric with the banking apps like the Iskartech and the CIMB Bank. And they have been make a separation about the regional banks like the CIMB, My Bank, and the Ing Bank. As also with the fintech player in your country like the Tonic, and Paymaya. I think you're familiar with this name, and the local bank like the BDO, BPE, and the East West. This is the key players in the digital banking, and also with the volunteer in the financial technology in Philippines. Yeah. Let's see about the digital payments. The transaction in your country is moving from the 14% to 20%, and also the valuation is moving from 24% to 27%. This is the use of digital payments like the e-wallets, but the using of the e-money is also growing and changing since 2017 to 2020. Next to the fintech landscapes in the Philippines, I got this information for the fintech news in Philippines. We have total 216 about the fintech companies, separate in the payments companies, the remittance companies, the lending transactions, e-wallet, blockchain and cryptocurrency, the digital banking, crowdfunding, the wealth tax, and the others. But the highest portion is in the payment of the fintechs. You can check with this the name. I think this is very familiar in your countries like the PayPal, like the AltPaynet and Ayana and the Bayat, Bucks and GrabPay. And also we have the the lending of fintech associations like the Advance, Akulaku, Asia Credit, Atome, and any kind of this lending informations. You have also have the e-wallets of the fintechs like the Paymaya, the Coins, the Banana Pay, and I think the biggest is Alipay in your countries. And the digital banking with the leading of overseas Filipino bank, and the CIMB Bank is for the digital centric banks, is the biggest of uh, central banks that have controlling any of information and transactions about the financials and the banking associations. So this is the fintech landscape in your country in the last years, 2022. From these informations, you also have the associations in Philippines. I found that the Philippines have the Fintech associations or Philippine Fintech associations, and you will get some information, maybe some brochure, uh, some techniques for the financial technology in the websites on the fintechph.org, and also they will cover all of the Philippines area. If you see with this map, I see it in your country. Samar is here, and this is the coverage between the Luzon, Manila, Mindoro, Palawan, also to the Mindanao. So this is the movement of your Philippines of financial technology associations. They'll be growing in the several years, starting in 2020 until now. They have good of visions like the promoting about the Philippines as a global leader in the fintech innovations. They have some message that they will be a leader in the fintech innovations. That's my that's my information about the fintech landscapes and how to compare about the fintech environment in your country, Philippines. And now we will next to the main materials, how QR codes, quick response codes can drive the digital payment and enabling about the financial inclusions in any countries. We will start with these imaginations. If the money, imagine the money is like a plant, you need to watering with the transactions. Your plant will be grow up, your money and the banking sector will be grow up if you watering with any kind of transactions like this ones. The online sellers, online retail, and also the retailers will be growing up about your digital environments or the fintech environments. And now you can buy anything from your cell phones. You can scan for e-money and buying some goods using your phone cells or the electronics or the digitals. Okay. What make the fintech is growing so fast in the last years? This is causes by the projection of the QR codes or the quick response codes. This is the QR demystified since the invention in 1970. The QR or the quick response codes is first time innovation in 1970. It's a long time ago. The companies IBM developing about the universal symbol for personal computer, and the innovation is making some symbols to having an automatic input to the computer using the barcodes. You can see with this graphic of barcodes. This is the first media of the barcodes. And then in 1994, the barcode has been changing, not by the bar, but using the codes. We call it QR codes or quick response codes, not the barcodes again. Okay. And it handling about the 7,000 alphanumerical character. This is the technology in 1994. So it's also growing in 1997. The QR code was approved by AIM for the standardization in automation of industry. And then it's still changing in 2000s. Okay. In the year of 2000 is approving by the ISO, is the International Standardization for Organizations, and become the international standard using the QR codes for any transactions, especially for banking. In 2004, the QR code has been changing again by the micro QR codes, not with the big picture, but now in the small picture. That's called the micro QR codes. They create about the small code and print to reducing the space from the ISO standards. And then in 2008, they develop about the small footprint and the coding capacity. It's also the movement from micro QR codes. In 2014, the QR code is changed again. They make a frame QR. The frame is not in the rectangulars or the square, but they can make a designs. They can combine with the illustration and photo. And now if you find about the QR codes, you can find about the symbols or the code not in the square. Sometimes it's similar like the footprints or maybe in on the circle. And then the QR is very moving so fast using the mobile payments. It's like a space stone. You can find for the chat or WeChat or maybe the WhatsApp and the Alipay. It's anything using the QR codes. You can generate anything using the QR codes. Now, in the current environment of digitals, the QR code is very powerful. How about the payment methodologies and the model after the QR reinventions? We still have the cash cycles and the supply chain like these ones. We have the central banks. Any country have the central banks. The central bank will be control about the manufacturing products and also the quality control and the circulation control and the counterfeit. If any mistake for the manufacturer and the quality control, the central bank will handle. And then for the operations, we have the cash operations like the ATM, the branch management or the bank or the cash management. The branch or the banking or the office of banks will be supplied with the teller service or the deposit collections and cash handling and also for the foreign exchange. We need the branch or the banking sector to promote these informations. And for the cost consumer, we only have the cash handling. It's still with the physical cash or the electronic cash or e-money. So if you find about the relationship between the payment models, we will find about the four entities. The first entity is a consumer, and then we found the merchant. The acquirer is the third party of banking, and also with the issuer. This is like a credit card issuer or debit card issuer. They'll be connected using the payment network. This is the relationships. You can see about the data flow from the consumer to the merchant. The merchant will be confirm the data to the acquirer or the banking. And then the acquirer or bank will be confirm the data to the issuer of the card, and they have some feedback about the payment transactions. Okay. But basically, the money flow will getting to consumer to insurer and also with the bank to the merchants. So the money flow is different with the data flow in our relationships about the payments model. This is the basic of the payment models. So we will see about another kind of modes or about the payment models. The first is about the closed loop payment model. The closed loop means that they have very strict informations between the issuer and acquirer. They will be connected using the payment network and it's closed. It's a secret. It's the high-tech informations. So the consumer only make a purchasing of goods and provide payment information. Only that. The information from acquirer for bank and the issuer is very stricted. This is a closed loop payments, but sometimes the closed loop payments make some difficulties about the confirmations, who is the customer with the personal data and any kind of difficulties. The closed loop has been changing about the open loop payment system. The opposite of closed loop is the open loop. What is the difference? The open loop is uh, opened the branch or the bracket about the issuer and the acquirer. So the customer can make a purchasing goods directly to the merchants using physically or using the internet. And then the acquirer will be connected with the issuer using the payment network. Is any relationship is open, the consumer can check about the acquirer condition using the payment network and setting the special price. And also the merchants getting the commission to the acquirer or to the bank. This is the flow of data, but there is no money flow, only the flow of data. Okay. The next mode is about pull methods. The pull method is focused on the consumer have a connection to the issuer. They need to request to pay, like the installments. They only connected between the consumer and the card issuer. And the card issuer will be connect the informations like the payment details to the merchant, payment process to the acquirer, and also make some clearing records and the settlement file using the payment networks. And then the issuer will have the informations and sending this agreement to the consumer only with the connection between consumer and the card issuer. That is the pull methods. The opposite of pull method is the push method. The consumer still have connected with the issuer, but in these situations, the merchant doesn't have any relation to the acquirer. Merchant giving some email remittance or notification to the issuer, and then the issuer makes some payment process or they make some settlement to the acquirer using the payment network. This is the difference. There is no connection between the merchant and the acquirer. So how about the card payment in the fintech environment? The card payment is basically you can pay with any transactions using card. But in a system, the consumer will provide some payment informations like the price and the how many purchase of or how many kind of transactions. The price information or the payment informations sent to the merchant, and the merchant have some informations to the acquirer. The acquirer have some merchant service charge. So this is the basic of their income, the processing fee. The acquirer need to add with some fee to the merchants to getting information about the consumer bank and the consumer deposits. After that, the card issuer will be obtained about the consumer account and make some acquirer processes payment using the payment network. So this is the flow of data, and the money is directly from issuer to the acquirer, from the card issuer to the bank. And now the transaction using the card payment is getting high. The growth in the card payments is mean that there is a growth in a fraud. Fraud is similar to the total card volume in the worldwide. You can see with this Nielsen report in 2016, the high volume of card payments is make some the high risk in the fraud, like the card fraud payment. This is the report from the US, but it's similar to the worldwide. Okay, so we can fix both these payment models using the mobile wallets of the technologies. So we call it about the financial technology in the simples. So the mobile wallets is connecting between the consumer to the merchants for the second entities, and also to the acquirer or bank for the third entities. And there is no card issuer again. The card issuer is a connections to the payment network between the consumer, the merchant, and the bank. So you can see about the flow of data and the flow of the money using these transactions. And it's conducting by the mobile wallets. The mobile wallet is simplified to the USSD payments. Maybe in your companies, I'm sorry, in your countries using a telco network. What is a telco network? Telco network is a networking with make some agreement between the consumer, card issuer, the acquirer or bank, and also the merchant using the payment network. So there will be pull all lots of data like the consumer data and the card issuer, the number, and the deposit of bank, and also the amount of transactions by the merchants. And they will be connecting using the payment networks, and also protecting by the telco networks from the uh, confidential information. And then uh, the information is getting complex day by day. I mean that in every day we can find more than 100 or 1,000 transactions. So to make this transaction is simple, the consumer only present about the QR codes for the payment. So the QR codes is similar with the credential data or credential informations that used by the consumer to make some payment to merchants. So if you find these informations, the consumer only show their QR codes. The QR code is containing for credential informations, and the merchant will be capture the QR codes using the camera. This information is captured, or the data flow is captured, and the card issuer and the acquirer will be connecting the data of payment using the payment gateway, and the money flow will directly access. That's the consumer present about QR codes. The second model is the merchant present the QR codes. Sometimes consumer cannot drive about the QR codes. The merchant have. The merchant showing their QR codes or the quick response codes, and the consumer captured the QR codes and connected to their e-wallets. So the card issuer or the mobile issuer will be reducing the deposit of the customer with the some payment to distribute to the acquirer using the payment gateway. The combination informations or the direct information between issuer and the acquirer, there is the money flow between the consumer to the merchant. So there is no direct connection between consumer and merchants. They only getting informations with the payment distribution using the merchant present QR codes. And then we have the two types of the data standard in the payment model. The first standard is the connection between consumer and the second entities, merchant. This is the one standard about the payment model, or we call the standard model. And then the advanced model is between the issuer to the acquirer. The connection between issuer and acquirer is talk about the data processing. It's different with the data encoding between the consumer and the merchants. So they will combine about the two type of the data across to the payment model between the closed loop and the open loop. So for the updates, this is a kind of QR codes. The kind of QR code is very changing. You can see about colorful here. The color is have the some codes or some symbols, like the red one is talk about the position or the orientation of the codes, and the yellow one is for the format informations for the payment distributions. The blue one is talking about the timing marks, the day, the clocks of the time of transactions, and the green is for the spacing or uh, the information, and also the purple is the alignment of the transaction information. That's the QR codes generation in all of the world or in the worldwide. How about in Indonesia? In my country, we have the different payment landscape. In Indonesia, we have the National Payment Gateway, or in Bahasa, we call Garba Pembayaran Nasional. The National Payment Gateway is connecting four entities. Also, for the consumer, showing the credit card or debit card, and the merchant capture about the payment distributions. And the remittance will be connected between the issuer of the card and the acquirer or the bank using the National Payment Gateway. This one is similar to the payment networks. The National Payment Gateway is having the actions like the payment network. So in Indonesia, we have a great movement, but this data is still in 2017. We have lots of populations, more than 15 years of peoples. And from that, we have the 49% or almost 15% having the account informations or having the bank deposits, and also the half of this populations having the formal saving in bank. In some of worker is also have the formal borrowing is about 18% in Indonesia, and more than 35% have or made or make a digital payments. So in the particularly, the mobile money account is still slow. It's only 3.1% using the more than 15 years of people in Indonesia. But now, after 2017, we have some movement. Till 2022, the smartphone penetration is growing. And now we have the more than 30% in Indonesia. This is a big opportunity for the fintech grow in Indonesia. From this fact, we have the three scenario using the regulatory implication to fostering the financial inclusion and cashless society. The first scenario is about unregulated of payment network. We have some open loop payment models. The consumer connected to the merchant, and the merchant will have connections about the data and money between acquirer and issuer using payment network, but still unregulated. The second scenario is similar, but we have some tight regulations. We have some pro and contra about the unregulated and the tightly regulations. But now we have the applied about the moderately regulated. The moderately regulated is we make some regulations, I mean the tight regulations, only with the issuer and acquirer, between bank and the card issuer, not with the consumer and merchant, because they have flexible transactions. This is the last of a scenario that have been implemented in Indonesia. Okay, I think that's yeah.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Okay, what's your question, Stan?
Is payment network and gateway the same, or yeah, are they similar?
A payment network is similar to the national payment gateway. That's your questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The payment network is a system or a models to connect it between four entities: the consumer, merchant, issuer, and acquirer. But in Indonesia, the payment network have the different name or different terms. They call the national payment gateway. Maybe in your country have the different names, but it's only the name. The function is same. Is national payment gateway is similar to payment network. It's just the name or the label. Is it clear, Diane?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Good questions. Okay. Any question for Norlin? Okay, no questions. I think that's all the for our meetings. I've stopped share first. Okay. Okay. I send you an email about
None
the.
so far, sir.
Okay, thank you, Norlin, for your response. Okay, I send you an email in this afternoons. To thank you, Diane, for your reply, and I give you some materials for the one meeting, second meeting, and maybe for the 8 meetings. You can use this ebooks or the informations to make some reflections about the materials. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, not in this class. You can ask me with my emails, and I will reply your emails if I think your question is very important. But if your question is maybe for in general, I will be make some review in your class, and the questions will be delivered to the class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I think that's all. If you doesn't have any questions, we will end of meeting today. And don't forget our meeting in Tuesday, not in Monday. So we will see again. I will see you again in the next Tuesday at 6 p.m. in my country, maybe 7 p.m. in your country.